Hi, it's Pip Todman here from queenpipcards.com. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Today we are showing another card in my Fancy Folds, Fun Folds technique series, and this one is like the Z fold card we did the other day, but actually it stands up and it becomes a stand-up vertical tent fold, not tent fold. Z fold. So it's an upright Z fold. Let me get that right. So it's a bit like a tent fold in that a tent fold goes up and down and has a bit attached here, but this is actually just based on the standard Z fold that we did last week, but it has a longer strip, and then we pop it up like that. So yeah, this is just another version of a card that you can use. Really simple, but creates a wow. So let me show you how it's created. This is a pool party. I'm changing the colours up for this one. So this is pool party. It's cut lengthways. Oh, and we're using the Forever Blossom stamp set today because it's gorgeous. So it's cut full length of an A4 piece of cardstock at 10.5 centimetres down in your trimmer. Turn it round and score at 14.9. Then fold this piece, find your front edge. This is the longest one that you have, and this one you're going to score in half at roughly 7.5, which is pretty much identical to how we made the Z fold cards that we did before. But then what's different is you're going to add all your decoration, and you're going to add it with the assumption that everything is going to fold up to the top. Okay, so we burnish all our edges nicely. This folds back as normal down here, creating that Z shape. Okay, but now you have to decorate everything vertically. Okay, it'll still fit into a normal C6 envelope, so no worries about that. And I'm using the same Parisian Flourish, Parisian Blossom speciality papers from the January to June 2020 catalogue, mini catalogue, and I've just cut a piece here of this beautiful pool party background. It's got some champagne additions on it, foiling on it, and this is cut 10 to 14.4. Then I have cut the front pieces, so I've cut a matching piece of the same papers, and that's going to go on here, and that's 10 by 7. And then I've cut these two pieces. So this is cherry cobbler, because there is actually cherry cobbler in this suite, even though it's not on this paper, so it does match in the colour palette. And then this is another one of the pieces. It's actually the opposite of this piece, the reverse side of it, which has this beautiful writing on it, which I thought would work just as well with the design. So this one is 7, I'm just double checking, yep, 7 by 12, and this is 6.5 by 11.5, so that's going to go on there. And then we're going to cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock down, again 7 by 10, so I'm just going to, don't know why I didn't cut that piece earlier. Oh no, because that's for that's right, sorry, I've missed a piece. 7 by 10 is what we're after. Ooh. Let's just get that bit sorted now. 7 by 10. There we go. So that's a piece of Whisper White that's going to go in there, 7 by 10. And then I cut this piece of Whisper White cardstock just purely big enough so that I can stamp this image. And then we're going to do some colouring in. So let's attach all these very quickly. I'm not doing masses and masses of matting and layering on this, because you don't want to add too much weight to something that's going to stand up with a fold and just be held by a piece of cardstock and some embellishments. You don't want to put too much pressure on it. Oh, I'll put those around the other way, but that doesn't matter. Looks quite nice like that. And then these can go this way, because you just don't want to add that pressure to the card base itself, so that it stresses or strains. Now you could add a sentiment to this piece, because this is where you're going to write, or you could just leave it blank so that you can write your message. I'm just leaving it blank to write my message because I don't know who I'm going to give this to yet. Okay, so that folds up, and then see, that looks nice, but then it's going to open out like that. Now we're going to layer this onto here, so just a bit of gluing to get us started. There we go. And you need to have a piece that's big enough that it will tuck into something, but not so massive that it will take over from the whole design of the card and shape and style of the card. So that's why I've done it this size. And then we're going to stamp this big floral image from Forever Blossoms. Now this is technically a wedding set or a anniversary set, but I think you can use it for anything because it's just got the word friend in it, and I really like just the word friend. You know, it does have things like "you mean so much to me," "wishing you a long life together," "filled with love and promises," so you could definitely use it for weddings, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. It's a lovely set for weddings. But you can just use it for other things, and I always like to show people that, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be just for the purpose that it looks like in the catalogue when you see it. So this is just showing you that opportunity to do something different. Okay, so whilst that dries, I've also cut myself a tiny little piece of petal pink, and this is 2.5 centimetres by 6 centimetres, and whilst that just dries off, I am going to attach just a couple of trinkets from Ballad to give this piece some weight, because this is what we're going to tuck the card into, and it does need a bit of weight to it, so we'll just pop some glue dots on here, pop that there, glue dot on here, and pop that there. Oops, no, that's not central. There, up a bit, come in a bit, there we go. And then I'm going to put a little mini dimensional behind this one and stand it up. It should be enough. I might need a glue dot as well, but we should be able to stand that up behind those two. Is that big enough? No, we need two. Two. Needs to be a bit taller. These are quite substantial trinkets, these. You know, they're quite deep and heavy. That's better. So we just need that there. Okay. And I might just pop a little piece of ribbon around that so that you can't see, when you're looking at it, you can't see that double-edged dimensional. So I've got some of this silver edged ribbon, which isn't quite the right colour, but because it's silver, not champagne, but I think it'll go okay. So we'll see. We should be able to just wrap a piece of this around here, and there we go. Yeah. So wrap it underneath, and then we'll just tie that in a little knot at the top, so it has a little bit of interest. And you can always you know, add an extra glue dot if it needs a bit more support there. That just sort of helps to hold that together. Okay, oops, there we go. That's it, like so. And if you wanted to, you could also colour those in, colour the ribbon in using your blends, your Stampin' blends, and then make it exactly the, you know, the champagne colour if you wish. But that's fine for me. I'm happy with that. So we'll pop that there. Oops. Come over here a bit. There we go. And now this is ready for us to colour in. And I'm using Pool Party to do the leaves. Not doing it particularly with lots and lots of, you know, degrees of light and dark and shading and all that kind of stuff, because the stamp actually has quite a lot of that in there already. If you want to, you can add more and just go back over the areas where it looks darker, because that's the shading that Stampin' Up has already put into the stamp for you. or you can just leave it fairly bland. Now I'm using just a smidge of cherry cobbler just to dot on these pieces here. These are the ends of the stamens. In this one I did quite a lot of cherry cobbler, but on this one I didn't want to do quite so much. We're just having a suggestion of cherry cobbler. Oh, I forgot my little petals on the little ends of here. And I also did the stem, just so that it all sort of hangs together. There we go. And I know it's blue, not green, but it's kind of a turquoisey green, isn't it? So, and it goes with it goes with the cards. So we'll not get too pedantic about the colour of leaves and whether this is blue or green. Okay, and then we're going straight in with petal pink, bit of dark petal pink in the centre, just flicking that on. And then I'm going to follow up with just a smidge of shading in here. Again, following exactly what Stampin' Up have already given us in their stamps. I love that they do such detailed work with these stamps. Makes my job of colouring in so much easier. So, dark. And you know, you can be quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Decisive with your dark colouring, because shadows really can be quite dark. You know, they really can look much darker than the rest of the flower. So if you're a little bit concerned, don't be. You know, you think you've been a bit over heavy-handed, don't worry. It's all good in the colouring world. Right, okay. Now I'm just going to go brush strokes over with my large end of my brush end, because I'm not doing, just make sure that you're not colouring spaces, make sure they are actually petals. That is a space, not a petal. I'm not being particularly too worried about masses of detail, as I say, because sometimes I don't think you need it. I think it looks okay just coloured, literally just like this. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could always blend it in a little bit more, but you know, I think that looks great. I mean, I love colouring, and sometimes I will do a lot of blending and make it really sort of look artistic-y. Sometimes, yeah, not so much. There we go. Looks fine. Make sure you just haven't missed anything. Shadows are in, looking okay. That's good. Right, now we need to cut that out, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so using the die, which comes from the Cherry Blossoms dies. This is the set that matches with the stamps. I'm just going to chop that out. And you can see here on this card I did before, I used the little flower die here to match with the stamp for the stopper from for this card. So we're going to do something a little bit different, obviously, with this, but still keep it pretty much the same. Okay, so now we will put the flowers on top of here with dimensionals, and they fit really nicely. Oops, taken that one off. Into the leaves, flowers, base leaf, just about, if you're careful. Then in there, another one on here. These are easier. And then you can pop one just there. You can't do these two pieces, it doesn't quite fit. So if you want to secure that to your card and not have it go too soggy in the post, then use a couple of mini dimensionals just to sort of fill in here. They are slightly lower but it doesn't really make that much of a difference when you're doing a card like this, and you can just fill in gaps. Okay, so we just need to have it secured to the front, and so it's not going to sag in the post. So every little bit that you can cover with any kind of dimensional will work for this. Okay, so now we're going to take these off. And that one's off, good. And then pop this onto the front, sort of sweeping in. You could do it that way, but I think it looks better sweeping in here from right to left rather. There we go. And this we then attach to the front like we did on the Z fold card, just making sure we know where it's going to attach. So put a little mark or use a pencil. And then this I'm going to do with glue because we want this one to be quite solid against the base of the card. So find your scratch mark, glue up to that line but no further. Okay. Making sure you know where that is. So it's down there. I'm going to attach this down here. Okay, make sure that that's even. Not coming above, no glue on this side, that's good, that's good. And there, see, it looks sort of even all the way around, which is perfect. And then what we want to do is for it to attach somewhere around here to this piece. So it's got to go underneath, slide underneath this piece. Now you can either have this sort of flat and literally just push it underneath like that, or you can put some dimension to it to give it a bit of lift. Now I found that sometimes it can fall out of the back because it's got so much tension in this part here. So I decided to give it some lift because then I think it helps it not be so tight against the back. So I did a set of double dimensionals, or you could use foam strips. They're also good. So just make sure you're leaving a gap at the bottom, and then double mat them so that they can't stick to the card as you pop it up through the space underneath, but they keep it nice and strong. Okay, and you can see that on here I positioned it just down so it could fit underneath from there. So we're going to position it in the same place again here. So just about in sort of there-ish, make sure it's straight. And then that should be able to sit underneath. You have to kind of get it used to the idea that that's what it's doing. Once it's used to the idea, it will stay. And then you'll have a Z fold like this. Now I put some ribbon around the bottom, so we're going to use the same ribbon that we had at the top. Just wrap that underneath round here. This time I'm not going to put a sentiment on it, apart from the little word friend that we're going to do in a moment. So we'll pop this on, just knot it and tie it in a bow. And then I would recommend you put a glue dot on, because otherwise it could just slide straight off, straight off the bottom of that, especially since they're going to be manoeuvring this part around when they, you know, do the upright Z bit. So put your thumb in there. Come on, what you doing? Oh, this one's fighting me for some reason. There we go. That's better. Okay. Just make it the size you want. Trim off your ends. There we go. That's not bad. Trim off a little bit extra here. So we'll just pop a little glue dot underneath that, I think, just so that we can make sure it stays where it's supposed to. So if you get your take your pick tool, you can just pop underneath and stick a little glue dot just by the base of the stem and then squish that down there. That means it'll sit perfectly there. And then finally, we do need to have some kind of sentiment on it, or some kind of stamping, apart from the flower. So I'm going to use the smallest word in here, tiny little one that just says friend here. And it is weeny. So I'm not going to fussy cut, I'm going to use that, the classic label punch. So we'll pop this out, grab our classic label punch, stamp it first bit, might help. Stamp that just in memento, punch that. You can always chop the ends off if it's too long, which it is, but at least it's nicely cut the edges off. So we can go back in here and just do a little banner piece there, and a little banner piece on this side. Make sure it's going to be sort of equal. Maybe a bit more, There we go. And if you get just a little bit like that, we can just chop that off with scissors. Just take that off with your snips. There we go. So now we can pop that somewhere on this card and decide where we want to have it. Now it is going under, so we just hook it under like that. So I'm thinking somewhere down here to put this, or maybe even over here. But I think somewhere down here would be nice. We'll just pop it up on, we might just put a little bit of, whoops, petal pink just behind, so it's not quite so white. That's always a good thing. Slightly off, and then some mini dimensionals, and these fit perfectly into this classic label punch, which I just, isn't it lovely when you get sticky stuff that actually just works brilliantly with what you've got and what you want to use it for. I just think that's fabulous. That's better. There we go. So there we go. So that's my two vertical or upright Z folds, as they call them, so that when they stand on your mantelpiece, they stand, you know, like this. If that's your mantelpiece, they're going to stand up straight to you, looking at it like that. And then you will have to send instructions. I have got instructions that I can pop into the into my blog post. It's just a little image that I got from another fellow demonstrator who found that some people were sticking their cards down or didn't know how to display them properly. They were trying to put them on their side, or, you know, whatever. So this will hopefully help them to understand that they have to pop it up like an easel card. I shared it with the easel card we did at the beginning of this series. Anyway, I think they're pretty. And I like them in both colours, in the Cherry Cobbler and in the Pool Party. I think they look completely different, but they're both just as lovely. And this one uses the word love that comes also in that Forever Blossom set. So there you go, and they do fold flat. You can post them. This one is a little bit large because we went for a double whammy on that embellishment. But you know, you could definitely hand it to somebody by hand. That would work. Or you could put it in a box and send it through the post. That would work too. So thanks ever so much for watching. Pip Todman here, queenpipcards.com. You can buy all your Stampin' Up supplies from me. Just click in the boxes below and see all the details. And I look forward to seeing you for our next instalment in my Fun, Fancy and Wow Folds series. Alrighty, thanks ever so much for watching. You take care for now. See you later. Bye.